All right, we are looking at Doggyelria doing a VOD review of this silver Reinhardt player. I'm going to see what I can give you here. I don't have Epic Pen right now. Unfortunately, it is not working, so I'll have to not be using that. Oops, a little too far. All right. I'm going to get a feel for how you play for a bit. I'm going to kind of watch for it a little bit, and then I'll start commentating. I haven't even looked at this beforehand yet. Oh, okay. She had gold there. Alright. I like your energy. I definitely like your energy. Nice. That's a good pin. Unneeded. You did happen to get the soldier behind. I actually did not see the soldier there behind me. He just appeared. Yeah, your team's doing fine in this fight, too. The beginning of the fight, I would say, is a little risky. Let's jump back for a second here. Okay. Now, yeah. So we're walking in here. Then some weird like screen flick thing happened here. Hold on. I want to make sure I can go back 5 seconds at a time and not 20. Okay. A little bit weird. I'm watching that for a second. I don't know what the heck this is. Watch this slowly. All right. What is happening here? What was that? That's crazy. I don't know if that's like a... Maybe that was a server glitch that was like you actually looked that way, but you like packet lost and the server thinks you just did that really quickly. Not really sure what that was about. So what you want to do here, since you have like a lot of shield, you can actually, instead of pinning out here, you can still take the space for free with your shield. Like what you're doing here, essentially looking at this, like right now you're walking up the stairs and you're trying to gain the space for yourself. When I say space, I mean I'm gonna pull up this. I don't have the pen, no epic pen, but your little guy here, he's gonna come this way, and you're gonna take all this space for yourself. And what you're gonna do is you're thinking about this space here as a tradable resource, a similar resource to your health, a similar resource to like your shield. So when I say tradable resource, what are you trading? Well, you're gonna trade your shield for this space. Okay. So by holding your shield and walking forward, all right, all these people here, they do not want to stand near you, right? As you take this space, as you trade your shield for this space here, this soldier, he's already running away. This Echo, she's just going to get the fuck out of there, all right? Orisa isn't even going to want to stick around, right? So, like, she'll stick around for a moment if she has Fortify, but not long until she wants to get out of there and not really want to brawl you. She doesn't want to take your 85 damage per hit on the hammer swing. She definitely doesn't want to get pinned, right? So she's going to hold Fortify for the pin. And she doesn't want to get fire struck either. I mean, that's 100 damage. It adds up pretty quick, even with the armor. And so she does not want to be close to you. Definitely does not want to be close. You can pretty much take all of this space here with your shield. The pin, here's what happens when you pin against a better player, right? So first of all, here's what kind of happens in this elo. All right. So there was no Fortify from the Orisa, and you managed to actually find the soldier there. So in a higher elo, you're not going to find the soldier. Okay, the soldier, there's no shot. All right. For starters, the soldier would not stand here. A higher elo soldier is going to stand over here. Okay. Higher elo soldier is going to stand over here and control this high ground from this angle. Like, this is way stronger for the soldier because then he's got an off angle on you and everything. 100% soldier is going to be over here, and it's also not likely to be a soldier. It's going to be probably an Ashe. But that's irregardless. So this pin here, you are definitely benefited from the fact that you are in this elo in which in silver the soldier plays on the wrong side, gets pinned by you, doesn't like sprint away from it or dodge it, and also the Orisa gave up the high ground by not fortifying. If she fortified here, then you actually would have squished the soldier into the Orisa fortified, and you still would have killed the soldier, but the Orisa would not have dropped off of the high ground. And then she would have continued to maybe be able to contest the high ground against you. But instead, you made this very risky play and happened to get the soldier dead and the Orisa off the high ground, leaving high ground control for the rest of your team, which is, it turned out to be a very valuable play, like a fight winning play, like automatically, boom, you just won this fight. And that's crazy. And it's like you got rewarded for making a very risky play. Just understand that. I respect that if you... Okay, here's the thing. I respect this. If you know you can get away with that in silver, and you're trying to climb out of silver, and you're willing to take a bigger risk, and you understand that this doesn't work higher, Elo, then... Okay, I respect that. You're good. If you don't understand that getting caught out, like if Orisa catches you out, like right here, and the soldier doesn't get squished there, you get fortified, stopped right here, you're going to take a bunch of like shots to the head while you're pinning, and then getting pinned into nothing and doing no damage to the Orisa. And then you have to, like, there's a little bit of a recovery delay, and during that time you can't hold your shield, you take a bunch of damage to the face. While you're doing that, you take a helix rocket from an off angle. Even if you hold up shield, you're not going to be shielding this soldier standing over here and killing you. Then you're going to get majorly punished, and very likely, even with healers, probably going to die here in that scenario. So just be aware that was not going to work out. Now, you get down on the ground here. What are your instincts? What are your instincts? You're going to just swing on this Orisa, and I like it. Now, you're really low, so for a second, you're going to hold your shield, and you're going to, again, think about space as a tradable resource, right? So you don't have health, but you do have shield, and you do have some space. You're going to give up space. All right, you're trading space back to the opponent. You can have the space. What I want is health, and I don't need the shield. So I'm going to trade my shield and the space for health. Okay, and you gain a little bit of health there because Mercy kind of tagged you off a little bit. Then you realize that even though you are trying to like get your health back and you're giving up space and you're giving up shield for health, being in here isn't a really good way to get it because your Ana's up here and your Mercy's kind of preoccupied doing some other things. But now that you realize that, you know where your Ana is, then you need to go back onto the point to finally actually get this healing you're looking for. What's also nice is no one's looking at you. All right, so this is great. You see this Orisa. This Orisa is dead meat. This is your fucking dinner right here. You absolutely kill this Orisa. She should definitely die. All right, again, that's kind of what happens when you pin a fortified Orisa. She should know for sure. This is fine. And right here, you're gonna play on the point. You're just going to make sure that someone has to touch the point at all times, and when they do, you're the threat. You're going to threaten them to get up the hell off the point. This is fine. All right, D.Va comes down to contest you because she doesn't want to give you ticks. That's fine. She used her boosters, and that's important. Let's go back for a second. All right. Used boosters. All right, when D.Va uses boosters, that's kind of a trigger in a lot of fights. She uses boosters, and you recognize this. I remember you recognize this, and you can go for this pin. This pin you don't generally go for if she's got boosters, but since she used the cooldown, it's actually not bad. She even like stopped looking at you. This is great. And so right at that moment, she got her boosters back. So maybe you did wait a little long, but you actually got it. Even with the boosters, she wasn't able to get away. So your timing is fine there. You managed to get the pin on her, which is great. Even through this Mercy heal here, you're going to be able to kill her, no problem. Now, in this moment, let's go back a second. Okay. So you have Shatter here, and the soldier, you can barely even see him. He just turned the corner here. This, from the surface of it, should not have been that great of a shatter. You didn't necessarily need the shatter. I mean, she didn't have jets. You can just kill her. She has the Mercy pocket, but you can just kill her. But it just so happens that the soldier just peeled around that corner at that moment, and it turned into a pretty valuable shatter. And so I'll give you the points for it. You got points for valuable shatter. Okay, we do need to get this D.Va off the point though. Oh my god. Very ambitious. Okay, so come back here. This pin, pretty ambitious. I don't mind it. However, if you do this pin, you do need to just notice, for one, you missed the soldier. Now the soldier exists, the Orisa exists, and let's take a look just so I know. Yeah, the Echo also exists. So this is gonna hurt. You're gonna want to hold your shield here, just because, like, even though you have a lot of health, even though you're sitting on like 370, almost 400 health here with some armor on the top, like it's going to go away pretty quick, because as I pause and play here, you can see your health just already completely diminished. So in this moment, knowing where all that projectile threat is and having that game sense to turn around and hold your shield this way, because like this diva is demeching anyway, and so all this shield that you would have here, all your shield, is actually going to not only protect you, but also keep this space intact. Like they're not going to be able to walk forward and rush your team down. And I think what this comes down to, if we go back 5 seconds, is just having the game sense to notice this, right? So you go for this pin, you get the bubble, you go in. Unfortunately, he had like res invincibility, like carrying over a little bit, so didn't actually get hit by the pin. But then noticing all this damage coming from behind you, seeing your health drastically decrease like this, and all these, there's a lot of indicators on the screen, and I'll show you here. See how the side of your screen is super red. You got like this sort of like red dial thing kind of happen on your screen. All this, lots of visual indicators telling you that you're taking a lot of damage, and you should definitely block that. In your head, mentally, you should be able to map out this little fight here and kind of see this. This should be like mentally in your head when you're playing the game, and definitely try to think about this like at all times, because if you had that in your head, you have that game sense, you would have turned around, you would have held your shield, and you would have lived. Okay, move forward, getting back to the fight. Your team somehow still hasn't gotten this, even though you've actually gotten quite a lot of value. Your on is down. This is pretty bad. You know this is a lost fight, and so I really like what I'm seeing here, actually not just feeding yourself in. I would consider even, that's fine, this is okay. Generally, when you want to regroup, you want to regroup further back. You don't want to regroup too far forward, because in the future, like, I guess this is okay, but generally speaking, you want to be back further so you can walk back to the fight kind of as a team, right? Let's give it a for instance. Let's say you're up here and you're trying to regroup with your team, and your Ana has to traverse this thing here, right? Walk this way. Your Ana's now standing here. She's exposed to Widowmaker, Ashe, Soldier, kind of heroes like that. Now, what we're actually seeing on the enemy team right now, just mainly like the Soldier and the Echo, but still exposed and like can still die. But imagine instead she has you to walk with her to get her back to this fight, right? So generally speaking, it's best to regroup close to spawn. Even though you're giving up all that space, you just kind of retake that space, because space closer to your spawn is easier for you to take. So let me pull back here for a second, just to kind of see what's going on. Like, space over here, really easy to recapture when you lose it, right? Because the enemy team doesn't hold this. Why don't they hold it? Is because it's like unholdable space, too close to the spawn room. If they get a kill in the fight, then the respawn just comes back during that same fight. It doesn't make sense to try to hold there. If they lose somebody in that fight, their respawn takes way too long to get there. And so in order to like not lose to spawn disadvantage too hard, then it makes most sense to have the fight happen like actually around the point, right? So here's the spawn door for the enemy team. Here's the spawn door for your team. And this is in the middle. You see how it's in the middle? So it's pretty fair when it comes to like spawn advantage versus spawn disadvantage. People aren't going to hold forward just because, like, yeah, it's like a disadvantage. So when you go back to spawn, you really aren't losing a whole lot of space, because this space, when you come back here, it's very free. They're not going to stop you here, usually. So you don't actually get shot at until you're actually standing about here. This is about where you start to get shot at by, like, snipers coming from this way, right? This little sign kind of blocks some stuff as well. Basically, all I'm saying is that this is risky, because if they know you're there, and I'm counting here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm seeing like 4, actually 5. Yeah, because that symbol's in a reset. I'm seeing 5 people here. If they know you're gonna kind of camp out right, like maybe here, for example, there's no reason why those 5 people couldn't just come around this corner, see you, and take a 5v2. And do you really feel confident with a 5v2? Not really, right? And so I'm just trying to lean you in towards more like principled play, which is to just regroup with your team, go back like to the spawn room, that sort of area. Okay, no, I'll just shut the fuck up. I'm so sorry. You do actually go all the way back towards the spawn room area. And you're getting a sense here. You're not really seeing them on this high ground, and so this does feel a little bit safer than it would normally feel. I noticed. I think I did notice you actually did look up there though. So let's go back a second. I wanted to see. Did you actually look at the top? Yeah, yeah. I think that was within your view. You definitely just like look this direction to peek that high ground, see if anyone's there, and it's like a pretty comfortable feeling to look up there and just notice there's no one there. And so this space does feel a little bit easier to regroup at. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for silver games where you're just not pressured and you're just kind of partying. So that's cool. All right, your team's kind of gathering up here. You're starting to get people. You're not really fully grouped up yet, and you'll notice that on the kill feed, your Widow died. So you are looking at taking a 5v6 here if you are pushing in, and your Genji isn't even like here yet. So this is not yet the time to push. However, I will mention that this Orisa is hyper overextended. Super duper duper overextended. So absolutely, I would walk into that room and crush that Orisa. She also, I believe I did see that correctly. I just want to make sure. Yeah, she used Fortify. So now your pin looks a little bit better. It's hard for her to dodge the pin. If you get up really close, you can kind of just force the pin. It's kind of a checkmate pin. So just keep that in mind. That's on cooldown. Genji being a little ambitious there. This pin looks a lot better. I know what you're trying to do here, trying to pin her off the map. I don't think it's worth it. Definitely when it's an MTD, and that's definitely the case right now. You are better than this Orisa. Why trade your life for hers? If you're just better, why trade, right? Okay, good. You actually stopped on that thing. Nice, nice, nice. I didn't want you to go off the edge. That was what I was afraid of. Yeah, that echo's gonna get you. The pin was again pretty risky. Okay, let's go back a second. Let's go back and take a look. So there's a thing with Reinhardt where instead of just like seeing the enemy team and thinking, okay, my play is going to be pin, all right. I appreciate the high energy play, all right. But what I would recommend doing maybe instead is just trying out some shield hopping, especially when you're just facing down a spam lane of damage. What I mean by spam lane of damage is they have all their people kind of sitting in one place over here on this side, and they're all shooting in one direction. And they're creating what you can kind of think of as a spear of spam damage, like a spear. Like it's all in one, it's unidirectional, and it fucking hurts. It really hurts. I would highly advise not pinning into the face of the spear, okay? If they were spread out a lot more, it might be a little bit easier. I'm not going to say it's a right move, okay? It might be a bit easier, but it's just you are giving up the opportunity cost. All right, there's an opportunity cost to pinning. And what I mean by that is there's something else you could be doing that is way better that makes this weird, right? So you're going for this pin when instead you could just simply shield hop. And by shield hopping, what you do is you do a jump forward, and as you get into the air, you pull up your shield, okay? And when you get back to the ground, you drop your shield. So you're going to block some damage, and then you're not going to block some damage. You're going to take a little bit. And that's important because that kind of heals your, or that allows your supports to get some healing, like before the fight begins, when it's not even dangerous to take damage. Not really that bad. Also, when you jump into the air, you keep your momentum, even if you hold your shield. So you jump, you have like forward momentum at your maximum normal speed, and then you hold up your shield, which would normally slow you down if you're walking. But if you're doing it in the air, it does not slow you down. Okay, so you jump in the air, you hold that momentum, you hold your shield doesn't slow you down. Then you land on the ground, you pull your shield down, you take a little bit of damage, and then you jump in the air and you pull your shield back up. Okay, and you do this thing that's called shield hopping. And you're not going to lose any speed. You're going to close the distance on the enemy team without using your pin, so you're not exposing yourself to the damage. You actually take this space without trading so much of your health, right? And so remember how I'm thinking like space is a tradable resource? You get to take all of this space right here, and instead of trading your health bar and dying, you trade your barrier and you keep your health bar. It's a better trade. It's a more valuable trade. This is a lucrative trade deal that you're passing up on by taking the pin, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. And the Orisa getting the bubble there, pretty big. Pretty big there. A nice little play from the Zarya. Falling off the edge there, definitely unlucky. And then dying to the Echo, kind of inevitable. Kind of inevitable. All right, we go on. All right, we've got another Earth Shatter. This is exciting. Going back to the top. Our team is kind of grouped up here. You'll notice your Ana's down. Now, against this spam comp, I would highly advise not going anywhere past this door. Like where my camera is right here. This is like the point of not going past anymore. If you don't have Ana. If you don't have Ana, you don't go past that point. Even without, like, or should I say, even this point is a little bit dangerous if you're playing against some certain heroes. Like if you're playing against a Junkrat, I don't think I'd stand here even. I would go further back. Just get out of his spam because that's a small room. But yeah, so you don't have your Ana anymore. You want to punish this D.Va if she's too far, but generally you're looking to regroup again before you make any kind of play. Look at that. This is great. So I can see you kind of just hovering right here. And it tells me you understand this concept that your Ana's dead and you can't really do a whole lot. Yeah, so calling for the group up, throw the Fire Strike for the ultimate charge, even though you'd have ult, so that actually is just giving the enemy support ultimate charge. Beware of that. Good. You get some information. Now, if you want this information for a little bit more free, what you could do is come around the side here, hold your shield, and look this direction. Then hold down M1, like your swinging hammer button, at the same time. That's both mouse buttons at the same time. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to rotate your camera while not rotating your shield. So your shield stays like buried into the wall, and you can third-person camera turn this way and kind of look third-person view, like kind of like a ball would, you know how, or like a brig, how she kind of looks around a corner, and yet like not give away your position. So it's a strong little thing, and I saw on Reddit someone made a mention of this. I just want to emphasize it again. This is perfect, right? So you're not really wanting to engage, like you threw that Fire Strike and then kind of pull back, say group up. Well, what you could do is just like look this direction, or I mean you could look this direction too, but you don't want to put the barrier like within their spam because you don't want to actually like trade barrier right now. You want to save that resource. So you turn around, you hold this way, and you just look this way and just scout. You're scouting. You're looking at what they're doing. If anyone gets too close, right? If anyone gets within hammer range, like down the steps, like let's say I'm the enemy team and I'm like getting about here, absolutely turn around, swing a hammer at him, say, no, get the fuck out of here. This is my space. Get the fuck out of here. Swat that little bitch out of there. And do not chase him up the stairs, okay? But they will run the fuck away like a little bitch because they damn well should. Right? And you just kind of hold this and you're just waiting for a regroup. And that would be a better play than just like throwing the Fire Strike and chilling out in the room because you get to be able to see what's going on. Now, Genji here, absolutely just going to int his ass off. What in the living shit is this Genji doing? Not only is Ana dead with Nano, so he could have Nano bladed, but he decides to go in literally fucking 1v6, whipping out the blade like an absolute silver champion. What in the hell? Okay, that's some weird shit. So you're going to take this opportunity. This is interesting, right? So yeah, the Genji fed his living brains out, but everyone left the high ground to deal with them except for the D.Va. And now you can just kind of like duel a D.Va on this high ground. You kind of slap her around a bit. At least you probably aren't going to kill the D.Va. That's one thing. She's just going to jet away. And also she has an Ana and you don't have an Ana. So you are not going to kill this D.Va. However, you can convince her to leave. You can smack her around a bit. I'm not going to say it's a good thing. What ends up actually happening here is you do not kill the D.Va. She gets healed by the Ana. You already have your ultimate ability online, so you do not need to charge your ult anymore. You get no benefit from dealing this damage. And instead, all you're doing is giving your opponent ultimate charge when your team is not yet grouped up, and therefore it's not worth really investing ults for you. So this, I would say, is soft feeding a little bit here. D.Va gonna go. She's very confident. She has that Ana behind her. She knows you don't have Ana behind you. She's gonna go into that. He walks in this room. Yeah, this is great. I love it. You bait her in here and you go for this pin. That's really good. This is really good. So it went from soft baiting to baiting her back into here and then demeching her. And a demech is almost, and that's like as close to a game-winning play as you. I mean, like demeching D.Va is so big. It just changes the entire landscape of the fight. It's almost a bigger kill than like killing like their flex support. If you kill their support, obviously that's a big play. Demeching, honestly, even bigger. Like any comp that plays D.Va, D.Va is such a broken hero and so powerful, so meta. Like maybe not in silver, but in higher elos, so powerful that if you demech the D.Va, it just changes everything. It's such an easy go in and just kill everyone kind of timeline thing. Now you notice you're low. Ana kind of coming up here, throws a nade at you. You get some mercy pocket. This is good. You're gonna hold your shield up here and not die. Your shield's kind of low, so I like the swing here, and you know you want to manage this resource, right? So you're low on shield. Your team has finally grouped up with you a little bit, sort of, not really. It's not time to push in. I want to stress this. Even if your team was all here, even if your team was all here, because of this sort of spear of spam damage that we've been looking at, right? This sort of spear of spam, I would expect them at this point, honestly, I'd expect them to kind of be closer to over this direction, like making the spear a little bit longer for them, which is kind of what they want to do. That's their win condition, is to create such a strong spear of damage that the Brawl core can't really get to them without expending too many resources. The reason why you wouldn't go in right now and you'd wait is because your shield's at 300. So you don't actually want to go in now. I don't mind a couple swings. That sucks so much, right? And so this is way too much commitment. Your Zarya, not here. If your Zarya is here, okay, Zarya back in spawn room, Genji over here, Widow over here. See, if they're in the spawn room, they're not going to be here for you. You can't get bubbled for this. This Orisa shield just absolutely obliterated your entire play. And now you still don't have the shield, right? You still only have, okay, you did charge up a little bit of shield. You haven't like pulled it back up yet, but you're so low that you need to pull your shield back up and just whimper away. And now you just kind of threw an ult into the trash can. Okay, getting the nano is pretty big there, though. Getting the nano is pretty big. All right. Go back a second. Okay, so that did suck. I think maybe your Ana told you that she had nano or something. Maybe you just knew she had nano, knew she was going to nano you. In this elo, I don't expect that. I personally haven't been looking so much at the ults because silver doesn't really plan ults so well that it makes it even worth looking at. But it does happen to work out pretty well here. In that very moment that you didn't have enough shield and didn't have enough health to do anything, the nano really came in clutch. Having that Ana right behind you was enough, and the nano was enough to like actually make this play pretty strong. You did kind of leave your team. All right, so go back a second. Notice this Orisa, right? Like you get the nano here, and then this Orisa still up here, just like plunging your backline, right? Your Ana gets like naded. You could be in front of this Orisa. So what you notice here is you did knock this this guy off of the high ground. But what you should also do is kind of still body block for your team. Make sure this Ana doesn't die here. Stay on this Orisa. So here, now you're going to jump off the high ground, all right? And now the Orisa is going to duel this Genji. Still has heals, by the way, right? And so, like, I don't know if this Ana is going to really pay a whole lot of attention to the Orisa, or if this Mercy's going to pay attention too much to the Orisa. But this Orisa now is still on the high ground dueling this Genji. Still off the high ground, but you could have stayed up here and actually made sure your team won this fight on the high ground. So then this is now completely yours. Not even something that the enemy team's contesting. Like, you could just be up here for good. So she ends up giving up that space, but the damage is done, right? So she already killed your Ana. That was like the big thing, right? If Ana was alive up here still and you had protected the Ana and she like owned the space, it was like hers, and the Genji was, you know, fine and all, and you're down here now with the nano sort of like trailing off. It's kind of going away now, but you would have your Ana in your back pocket, still pocketing you, keeping you alive. Then this could have been winnable. But because you've suffered so many losses like that, because I think you were too rushed to push all the way through them and not like finish what you started, kind of walking past their main tank, then that's unfortunate. I wish you wouldn't have jumped off so soon, and I think that could have made a difference here.
30 seconds.
Okay. Come back to fight here. Genji a little bit too far forward. What is happening? Okay, so someone's got to touch, but you have 8 seconds. You know, one thing about this timer is that you don't have to touch until like the time is over, and you want to make sure you don't make too many compromises on this final fight. So a lot of people will just be like, okay, final fight. I haven't gone down main yet. It's getting low. What if I just go main and just pin in? Just pin. Well, it's kind of an all or nothing play. Maybe something happens of it, but it probably doesn't. It just kind of like throws your life pool into the trash can. I'm glad to see that you're not doing that. Let's like wait a minute though, because here, yeah. Oh my god, if you had hit that echo. Okay, really awesome that you managed to hit the Orisa at least. Nice grab. Right into the Diva's face. Absolutely no fear of getting it eaten. Okay, yeah, that was fine there, and I think it was fine mainly because your team had a lot of angles. So, fine. You weren't trying to, like, you weren't, there was no one on the high ground to really contest, so there's no reason for you to stay up there. So I kind of agree with that. Okay. Some keyboard warrior action going here, kind of AFK. Your team's doing the right thing. I like what your team's doing, right? Your team kind of taking up these forward space here, which is exactly what you want to do. Reinhardt, not the cart pusher here, all right? So this is, I would put the cart pusher on probably Moira, Mercy, maybe maybe Genji. I want it on someone who has mobility that can get back to the fight quickly. Definitely Ryan is not the play. So in an ideal situation, someone else is going to push this cart, and you'd want to push forward. Your team just kind of giving up all that space there really sucks. Now the enemy team gets to kind of take this high ground for free. You want to be like plugging up this high ground. You don't want people to be able to stand here for free, for example. So like right now, it'd be pretty awesome if you were just up here and just not allowing them to go to high ground, right? Because if, let's say you've got like one on cart. Let's say it's just like a Genji on cart, all right? Someone might go to the cart, try to duel the Genji, right? But like think about maybe Genji on cart and everyone else is up forward taking angles and like holding the space and making it really hard and dangerous for the enemy to stand. Well, what's the enemy doing, right? If they're on the low ground, then you can drop on them and be right on top of them, which is fulfilling exactly what Ryan wants to do, which is to get on top of the enemy team using as few resources as possible. That's kind of like your winning condition as a Reinhardt. But if they're on the top, then you're plugging up the space. You're not letting them get an angle on the cart. You're not letting them push any forward than about here. And if they walk too far forward, well, then heck, you're right here. I mean, you could just like walk out and start swinging on them. Be absolutely crazy, right? You could even go for some pins right here because the wall's so close, right? So if they're holding top, you can definitely plug up this door. They're not walking through this door if you're up here, right? And if they're not able to walk through this door, they're not able to really get a foothold on like the first part of this point. However, when you do leave it open and you're playing against better players, what ends up happening here by, like, what's the consequences of staying on point? Well, the enemy team gets to take up here, like the soldier could be up here, right? Soldier could peek out this window and start throwing helix rockets, throwing some damage out here and just using this cover, and has like really good vantage over the first part of this point and kind of shoots all of you, and it's kind of hard for you to fight him back. So like this space, pretty valuable as a defender. They're not really using it. They're not using this angle, but they could be. And that's kind of the incentive to holding a little bit farther forward. You could also hold up like right here and just make it known to them that this bus is your territory. But we're not seeing that. So like for the enemy team, they could comfortably walk to here, stand here, drop their Orisa shield, and initiate their spear spam of damage right down here. And now it becomes hot for you to stand here, right? So watch in just a moment as they're kind of gonna get towards this corner here. All right, you see this? Now, exactly as I said, so they've gotten the Orisa to this point. She placed a really dumb shield. This is a misclick, probably. She meant to put the shield over here, right? So imagine she puts the shield here, as she should have, and starts this, like, the spear of damage. And you got the soldier here, too. You got the diva here. The soldier's going to be shooting. Orisa's going to be shooting. So what ends up happening is you have to spend resources, like your health and your barrier, to get to her through all of that damage. And the reason you have to spend your resources to get to where you need to be, instead of just being here up front and not like wasting time sitting on a cart, scratching your ass and waiting for the fight to happen, is because you sat back here, right? You let her just stand there for free. Now, if you were standing by the bus already, then you wouldn't have to spend any resources. As she walks right there, you can be like, well, hello, motherfucker, I'm right here. Start swinging. And there's no spam lane phase. There's no poke phase for you to get through, right? That's why you want to be up further. If you were up right by this bus, honestly, this fight's just over, right? Because she's way too overextended. Your team would be right there. You could just kind of start shitting on her. She'd have to walk away. At least you might not win the fight instantly, but they would no longer be able to stand here for free. They would give you space. The Orisa would cut back to like a second corner and be holding behind this. She'd let you stand there, and you wouldn't want to go much further than this without honest support and honest line of sight. It's going to be back here, right? So, yeah. That's kind of what I'll say with that. Now, they're not playing it super well, so you are able to just hold your shield and easily kind of walk forward into them. Not a lot of problem. Oh, let's go back. That was a big slam. Lost all your shield, so this is kind of risky. Now, that's kind of what I'm saying, right? So, proof of concept. Let's go back a second. Oh, person. What is happening? Here we go. All right, so you're at 1600 shield. You're walking. You're taking a bunch of damage here. A lot of damage. A lot of it's coming from soldier. All right, they're shooting your shield. And you did finally make it to the end of the bus, but you traded a big trade. And this is a big win for the other team, right? What does Orisa comps want? These kind of pokey, very spammy comp want is they want exactly this. That you had to spend 1600 shield to walk from over here to the side of the bus, so that now you're on top of her, but with no shield. You traded all of your shield to be able to have the permission to stand by the bus, when you could have just walked there between the fights and saved 1600 shield. See that? See that little bit of thing there? Okay, so now, whoops, you are out of shield. Okay, you're really low. You walk through the shield. You drop this shatter, and this is actually a really big shatter. If your team is ready for this and you're calling this ahead of time, hitting this shatter and knocking 4 people to the ground is like an auto fight win if there's follow-up. Assuming your team is there to follow up and they hear you ahead of time, they're like, I'm going for shatter, I'm going for shatter. Here it is. Boom, I hit 4. And they're all in with you. This is a fight winning shatter. Whether you live or die, this is fight winning shatter. Now, she did use a fortify there, so she's not going to be falling down there. You are going to die to the Orisa. There is not a whole lot of follow-up. So it turns out that as you fall down there, your team's still behind that bus, not really able to really help you get those kills, despite the fact that you put 4 on the ground. Also, you just didn't quite have enough shield there to make it happen as well. Let's go back. Okay. Right here, you're really low shield. You lose shield right here. We're going to slow down here. Imagine for a moment here, you still have the shield, and you're still shield hopping. You're still like walking forward. And like, notice you were at full health. Now you're down to 448. So you've already taken 50 damage. All right. You're down to 370 health. This moment, you would pretty much still be at 500 if you had that shield, right? So you'd still be around 500. You've released the shield, start earth shattering. All right. And you're still going to take some damage in this moment. But going from 300 here down to 0, you almost get 1 swing off, right? You almost get 1 swing. If you had shield there, then you would have started at 500, gone down to like maybe 250 because you'd have armor. Maybe even just 3. Maybe you still have 300, and then you could swing more and probably still hold up shield if you needed to, and followed up. Maybe you could have thrown a fire strike at some of those people on the ground, get them really low, and this fight could have been a lot different. Much different. So that's just kind of one way in which your actions have consequences here. Yeah. So we do not want to poke around this. We do want to throw a fire strike, and then we come back around the corner because we want to get that ultimate charge, but we don't want to spend any resources, that being our health and our shield. Right? No, we don't want to. No. We do not want to hold shield for nobody, and we do not want to spend shield for absolutely nothing. I want you to understand, all you have with you right now is a mercy. So think about it for a second, right? Let's play this out. You hold shield for nobody. They shoot shield at you, and you are trading shield for nothing. because no one is going to use this shield. You can't walk forward because you don't have the heals to do it. You don't have the team nor the heals. Okay. And so what you're saying here is I will trade you my shield for absolutely nothing. I will trade you, holy shit, 650 shield for absolutely fucking nothing. I will trade you, what the holy shit? I will trade you 700, or sorry, I'm bad at math. 850 shield. Okay, now we're getting our shield back. Do the fire strike. You're low on, you're already like half shield. You're 800 shield. This sucks so much. Like now you're down to 600 shield and you haven't even like got there yet, right? Not to mention, let's look at the situation. Where the fuck is your Zarya? I mean, like, what's happening right now? They've got a team. You have 4 people and you are spending resources to get there. No, like this is really, really, really bad. Come back around the corner. The play, I'm not kidding. The play is stand here, all right? Let your shield get back, right? And as soon as your shield is all the way up and you're still waiting on spawns, then hold your shield up, turn this way, press both mouse buttons, and use your third-person perspective to scout. That's it. What are you waiting for? What's the condition to move forward? Getting all 6 members back. Getting a full regroup. That's what you're waiting for. Instead, you are at 551 shield, full life, throwing a fire strike at nothing. Having a dead shield without your Zarya present. Only being halfway through the choke, not shield hopping. Finally getting around to the bus. Now, what you're going to tell your team is that, well, guys, I made it to the bus. You guys can have, you know, all the luck. Get good luck getting from fucking this choke back to, like, over where I am without my shield. How are they going to do that? Like, let's just think, you know, like, I'm sure the Widow will be fine. But this Zarya might have to blow a bubble or expend a bunch of resources from, like healing resources from the healers, a lot of healing attention, just to traverse this distance if the enemy team is punishing it correctly. Like, here's a couple things I'd be thinking as the enemy team. Like, wow, Ryan has no shield. He's standing right there. The rest of the team is exposed. Like, from this point, I have 2 options from the enemy team. I could capitalize. I could punish you by killing you because you have no shield and you're kind of alone. I mean, you've got some heals, whatever. Or I could probably make the better move here and shoot a bunch of bullets at this Zarya who doesn't have any other shield and has to use her personal bubble. Once she breaks her, like uses her personal bubble, then we can just like wait that 2 seconds and then do a hard push on her. She has no personal because we forced it. She had nothing. She couldn't do anything with it. She had to use it to live. And then we can push and kill her. Another thing we could do, standing right here, is you don't have any shield. It's broken. And I'm seeing 2 healers right here. So we could get some easy shots on these guys. There's not much they can do about it except for hope that they're going to get the peel from Zarya here so they don't die. Okay. No. So, okay. Now that you've gotten yourself into the situation, let's go back 5 seconds, right? You got yourself into this situation. Now, what would be the play, even though this kind of sucks? This is a situation you do not want to be in, right? What do you do now? There's a couple things you could do. Number 1, you could chill. Chill behind the bus, and what you're waiting for is you're waiting for your shield to get back up. Because the way you can take space easily as Reinhardt, the way you actually want to approach them is you want to trade not your health, but your shield. And so what I see as a major mistake in this position is to walk behind this, or sorry, walk around this bus, throw this fire strike. Okay, that's fine. That was fine. But then holding this shield up, what you've effectively done is you've stifled your shield from replenishing. I'm going to go back for a second. I want you to understand this, right? You're at 40 shield. It's starting to rise, and you are not allowed to pull your shield up, or it goes like that energy increase, the barrier increase over time stops. And even if you pull your shield down, it's still stopped for a second. It doesn't go back up again until you hold your shield down for some duration, okay? So you're at 190. You pull it back up. Now, if you had just not held the shield up in this exact moment, then you still would have been gaining shield, right? You want to get that shield back. Maybe you're doing it because you noticed that your healers were behind you begging for that shield to not go down so that they can not die. Maybe that's it. And so it's like a further punishment for having overextended yourself here. Again, yes, the play here is definitely do not walk this direction right now. You don't have any shield. And you're going to stand right in the spam damage. The play is start getting your shield back up. Go the other direction. Take your team this way. Bring them all the way over here and up these stairs. Okay, all the way up here. And then flush out whatever they have up here. By this point in time, you'll have your 1600 shield. They're going to be butt scratching down there. And you just jump on top of them without them being able to create that spear of spam damage against you, and you just start swinging them on them again, right? And in this way, you don't trade so many resources to get on top of them, and you get on top of them using as few resources as possible, right? Trading almost nothing for the space. That's awesome. Instead, we're still kind of exposed ourselves here. We're still on really low shield, and if they were better at punishing this, then they'd be better at punishing this. I don't know what else to say. What's nice, though, is you do have a Coalescence coming behind you, so you don't have to be holding your shield up so much, like so constantly. And this beam here, this Coalescence, is 140 healing per second. This will get you forward a little bit if they don't pressure you too hard. They can out damage. One DPS player can out damage the 140 healing per second, but you know, if they don't have the good enough focus, if they're not really hitting their shot super well, then it's not actually going to work. We're completely okay. So now we're out of shield. We're out of the bubble. Our Coalescence is coming close to an end here. Starting to get our barrier back up. So we're going to use that and kind of stabilize for a second. Definitely with that supercharger, I would not want to be taking this fight right now. What I've got right now, I'll tell you what I've got. All right. What I've got is I've got a Moira with me. I've got a Zarya with me who has grab. And I've got you with 800 or so shield. I would trade that 800 shield, pull back around this corner behind the white car, and give up some space. I would absolutely give up some space right now because they just have a supercharger. And unless you're able to kill that supercharger, unless someone's able to do something about that, this is going to hurt, right? You do not have, let's see. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Yes. So you do not have projected bubble for another 8 seconds. You do not have your shield much more. You only have like 760 shield. All right. So no bubble, half shield. Almost full life. You've got your flex support behind you. This is looking like you very well could die if you stick around too long. I like going around the... Okay, this is great. So I like the Zarya maybe not grabbing in this moment, maybe coming back here. I liked what you did. You kind of did what I suggested, which is to give up space for a second, not quite stand directly into all of that damage, especially the supercharger. But Zarya had a different idea. She just wants to like grab the Orisa. But then she's like putting a lot of pressure on Orisa and not the supercharger. Gotta kill that bongo. There we go. We got the bongo. Okay. Being slept here sucks. This is looking pretty good for you guys now. Okay. Nice. Good stuff on your team. Taking some nice angles there. And some nice picks. That's good. Alright, this is fine. You want to save the pin there. It's like... Go back a second. A little further. Okay. Check it out. On this Orisa right now, she is isn't she gold right there? Am I just like the visual? Hold on. Yeah, she's been gold this whole time, right? So she's gold here. You're looking at her being gold and you pinned into her, so you know that's going to do nothing. And it also exposes you to damage and it lowers your damage per second. So instead of doing that, you could just walk up to her and like throw your fire strike as you're walking towards her and just start swinging, and you'll get damage in quicker. And you won't take as much damage yourself because you can like pull your shield up if you need to. You still are able to get the kill though, but you don't have your pin. This is fine because the Echo's not flying, so you managed to hit 2 with that. That's pretty good. Good pin. Definitely because it demechs the D.Va, which is a big like fight winning play. It's nice. I like how aggressive you're being and like taking up this forward space here, not really letting them regroup and not letting them just have that space for free. So that's kind of nice. Also good on you coming back. I hope the team knows that there's a enemy soldier up there on the high ground. Jumped off. That's kind of weird. Yeah, don't chase that fly. Definitely just got to hold this front line. You need to get behind the cart. So definitely at some point here, like when you have no shield in this moment and it's all this shit happening, your health is like half, you have no shield, just kind of get behind cart here and take a little bit less damage. Like your team can't expect you to hold shield up forever, and you can't expect you to have unlimited resources. At some point you have to stabilize, and keep that in mind. So you see how you're like walking forward, you're like forward pacing towards this Orisa, further exposing yourself when you could have ducked sort of a little bit kind of behind the payload. Yeah. So the idea here is I think you kind of just want to be a little bit less aggressive. You got this coalescence on you, but really this coalescence is not as much healing as you might think it is. Yeah. So like the coalescence, 140 healing per second. Echo's little fucking beam thing there, I think, is 200 damage per second when you're less than half your life. So that alone, the beam from Echo, is already outpacing the healing from the Moira coalescence on its own. Let alone the fact that Diva's shooting you, and you got like damage boosted Orisa shooting you, and Soldier's dead, I guess. But like, you know, other people are shooting you. It's gonna hurt. You're not gonna be able to outpace it with just the coalescence. Okay, we're just kind of like playing the corner here. I noticed your team's still respawning, so yeah, absolutely. Like punish this Moira for overextending. You could have thrown that at the Moira. I would have killed the Moira there instead of just throwing a fire strike at the Diva. You could have killed Moira. Moira's fade again. I like turning around and fighting that Moira there, especially because she did something crazy and like faded into your backline. Moira using fade, big trigger, just go kill her because she can't. It's only 6 seconds, but that's a long time in Overwatch. Not having shield here really blows. Having that bubble from Zarya is pretty nice though. You used it there, right? I'm assuming. Was Zarya bubble? Yeah. What the fuck? You totally touched. That's stupid. You know, this video is already 52 minutes long. I'm going to leave it there. I know I only looked at attack phase, and there's a whole defense phase to look at. But it's going to be a lot of the same, especially if they're going to play the same heroes. I think I've already given you a lot of information. So take that and let me know how you like it, and let me know if it helps you climb out of silver. And if it does, then let's get another VOD in for you so we can start getting from gold up to plat. Because it's actually, I think climbing out of gold is a little easier than climbing out of silver as a silver player. Because once it clicks in your head, like how to get out of silver, it's so simple. Silver kind of not that difficult once you figure it out, but until you figure it out, it's such a drudge. It's such a horrible place to play in, especially with all the Smurfs and stuff. I totally understand. Gold, yeah, that's gonna take another VOD. So let me know when you get to gold, which I think you will, because you're very aggressive. You play pretty well, honestly. For your being silver, you play pretty well. So I think you'll have no problem getting gold. When you do, let me know. All right. Good luck.